Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Welcome back to the Friends in Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Jersey Ed, along with Buckeye Bambi, blah, 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 Beth, and
What's
Nature.
blah, blah,
Blah. I like 3 blahs. Put another one in there. And Nature
Okay.
Dan. Just kidding. Blah, blah, Beth. It sounds better. It sounds like a longer, like,
blah, 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 Beth.
yeah, blah, 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 Beth.
I don't know how to rename myself.
You can't. We have to close the whole thing down. We could do it. Anything for you, Beth. You know, whatever you need.
Oh, man, I'm good.
No microphone, no nothing. I mean, come on. Good morning, Beth, or good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching this. How are you, Beth?
Tired now.
Show is all about you. We're going to talk all about Beth today.
All right. I'm used to it.
She just loves it.
I love it.
Wait a
Let's
minute. Do you need to get your crown and your pedestal so we can?
Yes, I would love a crown and a pedestal.
You deserve one, Beth.
Here.
You
No.
deserve one.
Oh my God! Stop talking about me. I'm getting conscious now.
Well, guys, we're going to talk about relationships. I guess that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, I want to make sure that everybody has our email address. It's help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. You can call us at 800-989-6504. That's a non-emergency hotline. And then you can email each one of us below. And personally, if you want to send an email. And that's how you can get a hold of us. I think that's it. We don't have any other. Oh, the book. So Carl's book, 366 fucking days sober. I know Beth. I mean, hold on. I know Jill. Here it is. Oops. 366 fucking days sober. And listen to this.
Are you a rebel seeking transformation in your recovery journey? Then 366 fucking days sober is the book for you. 366 daily meditations. This book by the SoberPod Recovery Podcast host and professional rebel, Carl, will help guide you towards a new way of thinking and living. Each daily meditation offers a fresh perspective, practical advice, and a healthy dose of Carl's irreverent humor to help you stay sober and embrace the challenges of life without drinking, drugging, or shitting your pants. Whether you're just starting your recovery journey or looking for a daily dose of encouragement and laughs, 366 fucking days sober is the book for you. So, if you're ready to transform your life and become the rebel you were meant to be, get your copy of 366 fucking days sober today. Available today on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everybody. That's the book that we were just showing there. So we will, I guess we're talking about relationships. We had a hard time coming up with a topic, and everything kept leading back to relationships. And, you know, when I think of relationship, it's husband, wife, partner and partner, it's, you know, but it could be anything. You know, Dan, you brought it up earlier. It could be a relationship with a dog, or even Beth, a plant, like you said earlier. You know, have a relationship with a plant first. And it's true, you can have a relationship with just about anybody or anything. You know, friends.
You do have a relationship with everything.
Explain that to us, Beth, because I don't know.
I have a relationship with my car. Right? I depend on my car to get me from point A to point B. I depend on my car to its battery to die the first time I ever double parked in Brooklyn. Like, you know, which that happened 2 weeks ago. But like, we have relationships, right? And it's so alcoholic for us to deny it, right? It's so alcoholic for us to not acknowledge, because when we acknowledge that we have a relationship, we have to admit that we're responsible for it, right? So I have a relationship with my car, and the car battery died because I didn't maintain the car. And you know what? And I'm going to be totally honest with you. It was sputtering to start for over 2 weeks before I drove it to Brooklyn and left the hazards on for 10 minutes and the battery died, right? So I cannot blame the car. I can't be mad at the car. I can't be mad at the situation. I have to take responsibility for the fact that I did not maintain my car. So I have a relationship with my car, right? If I don't admit that I have a relationship with my car, I'm just fucking pissed off, which alcoholics love. Right? We love to be pissed off. I can't believe my fucking car died in Brooklyn the first time that I ever double parked.
The first time they ever got caught double parking.
No. The first time I ever double parked, my battery died. It was like, God was like, here, Beth.
Yeah.
Have you done it since is the question. Or did that teach you no double parking?
Well, I haven't double parked since, but I literally, so I'm such a freak. I literally drove back home to Westfield from Brooklyn, got my battery changed, and drove back to Brooklyn for the rest of the weekend.
Oh my God. That's insane.
I'm insane. I know. But we as an addicted population don't deal with personal responsibility well. Therefore, we deny the relationships that we do have so that we can play the victim, or we can pretend that we have zero responsibility. And it's just not true. Well,
let me ask you this, Beth. Does personal responsibility come before a relationship?
Well, you can't practice relationships unless you're in a relationship, right?
But what about with yourself? Personal responsibility, you're saying?
Yes, personal responsibility.
Okay.
Right? Every choice that I make in my life creates the reality I live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can't play the victim if I'm taking responsibility for my actions.
That is true.
And my choices.
So where does it start? Developing yourself personally.
In the steps.
Right?
Right?
Okay.
It starts with no human aid could have relieved my alcoholism. So I am essentially powerless and no human can make me better, which then leads me to building a relationship with a power greater than myself, which is page 1, right? Bill's story starts on page 1 to the end of, I think it's like page 42 is all about step 1.
Okay.
Right? This is my problem, right? Then you have, what's the God chapter? Oh my God, my brain is fucking fried.
I don't think it's called, oh my God.
Should be. We agnostics.
We agnostics, yes.
We agnostics is really all about our relationship with God, right? And what I love most about we agnostics is it calls us to action in challenging old ideas. I have to challenge every single old idea it's like very scientific if you think about it, to give it the acid test if it's valid or not. Do I still believe this idea? Have I been making life decisions based on this idea?
Well, let me ask you this.
I don't even believe anymore.
So you have to have a relationship with God first and then yourself? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the atheists out there?
God doesn't have to, it's power greater than yourself, right? So although you cannot be saved by a human, a lot of people who come into the rooms and don't believe in God in the general sense will say group of drunks, right? So the power of the book, the power of the group. Listen, if you're atheist, you believe in science. And if you look into the science of the last 30 years, it tells us that every cell and every molecule and every atom in the universe is connected.
Yeah, that is true.
Through energy, right?
Yeah.
So lean on that as a power greater than yourself, right? The chances of those atoms becoming energy that created life, right? Taking God totally out of it, the Jesus God or the Allah God, or taking all that out of it. You take that energy and it's smart energy.
Oh, and Dan, speaking of God, I think he just turned your light on in the background over there, but like a light went on in the background.
Light went on.
Yeah. There you go,
It's
Dan.
like
The light. Yeah, Dan, what's your idea on this? Dan, well, why we got you up and going, what's your thoughts on this? Your personal relationship, your God relationship, your relationship with whoever.
Yeah, so I think that it's most important to have a relationship with a higher power first, regardless of what that looks like for somebody. If you don't have a belief in something greater than yourself, that things are going to change or things are going to happen for the better, then it makes it hard for you to continuously build relationships in everyday life. I mean, I've been sober for years, and the only relationship that I have now is with a plant still. So, continuously making sure that plant has food and taking care of that plant, because some of us we're sicker than others, and we all recover at different paces. And, it's like, I don't know if, I was married for 12 years. So getting out of that and now finding a relationship with my God and having that healthy relationship and being able to be a productive member of society by myself. They say don't get in a relationship for the first year of your sobriety. Well, I definitely didn't do that. But I built relationships around my sobriety with like people who were like-minded, got a sponsor, found people to do sober activities with, went on men's retreats. Building those kind of relationships are lasting and meaningful relationships that you'll carry for the rest of your life, as long as you have a God of your understanding that you believe in.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's like you start off small and you keep going. I like how you said, I go to the rooms, I get sponsors, I get into retreats, and it just keeps building and building and building, right? And that's how it works. These relationships. But I don't. Let me ask you this, like, anybody here, Bambi, Beth, whoever, if you don't build a relationship with yourself, could you build a relationship with somebody else?
No, you have nothing to offer.
I don't think. Yep.
And what does that mean? Explain that. Beth, go ahead. You explain that to me. She's like, huh? What? I answered the fucking question. I said no.
You have nothing to offer.
Okay.
You know what to bring to the relationship. So basically, when you have nothing to bring to a relationship and you get in a relationship, you're a leech. You are constantly taking and you are not giving. And if you have nothing to give, listen, I've been married for 22 years. I constantly have to go out and have new experiences in my life to have something to bring to this marriage. And I can tell you that when my kids were little, I didn't have a life. Like, I was all consumed with being a parent in Charlotte, not many friends, not a big life. My marriage imploded because I had nothing to give and neither did he. And then we just leached off each other until we imploded.
And that is true. But I'm going to ask you now, around this, why Beth is speaking, I'm going to ask you, what about early relationship? What about early recovery? I had no relationship with myself. That means I can't have a relationship.
Yes.
I thanks. So anybody out there listening, if you're in early recovery and have a relationship with yourself, fuck it. Just go hang out with a tree, right, Dan? No,
yes.
No, but isn't it like in early recovery that you have to leech onto somebody to figure out who the fuck you are, figure out what your life is going? I think it is. I'll have to disagree with you 100% because is that an answer? Because that's why. No, because I, and I did it. I had to identify with other people so I know who I was. I had to leech. I don't know if leech on is the right word. I had to understand somebody else and understand who they are, to take a little piece of that and bring it into my life. Because I was nobody. I was very straight, flat, nothing, without booze.
Yeah,
right?
I talk about myself being as one-dimensional, like a cardboard
100%. Yeah.
of a human being.
Perfectly, yes.
But you don't have to leech off of other people. You can observe, right?
Yeah.
You can observe. And then when we start to have life experiences that we're forced to have, right? So I'm forced, if I don't pay my fucking rent, I'm getting evicted.
Yeah.
Right? There's a relationship right there. Why don't we just start there, right? The relationship with the plant, start there. What do I have to offer this plant? I have water. If I have a job, I can go to the store and I can buy some plant food. I can read about plants. I can figure out what's the best light for the plant. What am I doing? I am learning how to give of myself to somebody else. Something that people who walk into these rooms don't know how to do. And I don't care if you're a nurse like Bambi, or if you are a priest, if you are an alcoholic, you don't know how to give of yourself. You only know how to take.
Yeah, I agree. But early recovery, I think I took a lot more than even when I was using, right? Because it was a lot more of the good things in life, right? The good things that I seen in Beth and Bambi and Dan and whoever, you know, that's what I wanted from you guys. And then I asked you questions, not you guys, but, you know, I would ask questions and try to understand why am I feeling like this? And I think, I don't know if that's leeching, but it's definitely, I definitely didn't have an identity. I could tell you that at early recovery. There was no identity.
Right. But you can come to me, or you can go to your sponsor and you can say, why do I feel like this? They can't tell you why you feel like that, but they can tell you why they felt like that. And that is the entire foundation of one alcoholic helping another. So essentially, you're not leeching from somebody in the rooms. You're helping them keep their memory green and remember where they came from. And if we're not of service to others, specifically in 12-step model, if we're not of service to others, we're going to only think about ourselves, right? So it's symbiotic, right?
Can somebody look up that word for me?
Isn't that like the definition of symbiotic? We are
Together.
working together, right? You take what you take
and give. Yeah.
I need taken, and what I give, you need given. So that's a symbiotic relationship. That is not the rest of the world.
Yeah. And yes, and everybody gives and takes. And as we grow, we can give more, right? We can give more and more. And like we were talking on the meeting this morning, you know, giving today is more important than taking from somebody. I know what to take from somebody. I know the question to ask, but that person who's in early recovery, that person who might have just came back in the rooms, they need what we have, right? All four of us, they need what we have. And, you know, and kind of sitting with them. One of our friends in recovery, kind of abruptly left the meeting yesterday. I checked on them and they were like, oh yeah, no, I'm just going to another meeting. And because we were all worried, like, you know, and it, you know, but that's the lending hand. That's the helping hand. That person knows now, hey, well, maybe these guys really fucking care, you know, maybe, whatever, you know, and that's kind of I guess the space I'm in now, but early recovery and, you know, trying to build who personally I am. You know, that's the tough part, I believe. You know, that's the tough part.
But that's what the steps are there for.
I agree.
So if you're getting sober and you actually want to be better, work the steps. Get a sponsor that's going to direct you and teach you how to have your own experience with God.
What if you're not a 12-stepper? What do you do?
There you go.
I don't know. I only know what works for me.
That's true.
But there's other modes of recovery. And listen, refuge recovery is based on the exact same principle of find God, be a service. Smart recovery is a CBT based model where they're sharing like experiences. So essentially it's kind of the same, but without the house cleaning and the amends and all that stuff.
Yeah. Without getting honest. Because eventually you got to get honest somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to grow, you have to get honest because you can't keep the deep, dark secrets and grow. I mean, you can, but there's going to be that part of your life that you're not going to grow with. And you don't have to go put them on a billboard, but once you share it and get it out, it's done. You know, I'm not talking, you know, your whatever, you know, deep, dark secrets could be, you know, like, yeah, I don't know, whatever, you had you hate your sister or whatever. Whatever that deep, dark secret is, it could be, you were molested, whatever it is. If you don't get out and kind of, talk to your sponsor about that, or whoever, a therapist, even a therapist, right? Whatever that is, and move through, because here's the thing, later on, when you're confronted, maybe having a deep, dark secret, you might go the other way instead of diving into that dark place again. And I'm not talking relapse, it's just whatever that dark secret could be, but I don't know. Relationships are very complicated, especially in recovery, especially, we're talking, guys, we didn't even get into a relationship with a human being. We're talking about a plant relationship right now. And look at how complicated this fucking thing is, right? I mean, seriously. And I want to go back to your plant analogy, because I like what you said, Beth. And this is a testament to your recovery, right? And where you're at today, because you said, go have a relationship with a plant. I'm going to read about it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to watch videos on it, blah, 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 blah. Right. No pun intended. But now you're going to take that, and put it into the relationship with the plant.
Yes.
And then you're going to have a different relationship with the plant now. Right.
Right. And you'll notice not one thing that I say was what the plant was going to do for me. Not one thing that I that I said, and that's just must be because I'm having a good day. Wasn't about
very
me.
Rare. Thank God.
I know.
Just listen to this.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait, what is the fucking plant doing for me? Like,
Beth, all her plants are gonna be in a garbage when the show is over. Babe, we have Tony.
Oh, I did a dunce. Sorry. Where did that go?
All right, guys.
It's like, fuck this relationship shit.
Yeah.
I'm out.
All right. I think Ed just cut ties on this relationship with us.
Oh,
He's coming
damn it,
back.
he came back.
All right,
Ooh,
let's welcome
what
back
the
Jersey
heck?
Ed.
How much of the show did I miss?
A lot.
We were just getting started.
I don't know what happened. It just kind of, I don't know. It just disappeared. So anyways, I guess we're recording. Let me just make sure that this is all good.
Yes, we're recording. It
Yeah,
never
yeah,
stopped.
okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, it did. Okay, good. On your end, it did. Let's see. So what we were talking about relationships, and I was just going to ask Bambi what your thoughts were on this. I know you've been a little quiet about all this, but what do you think? What do you think on all this? Because you sponsor a lot of people, and what do you tell your? Okay, go ahead.
Personally, I think it would have been so much easier to form a relationship with a plant for a year and then a dog for a year. But if you're like, I got married, I was drunk when I got married, but I was married. So, there was not, I was forced to have both, learn to have a relationship with myself, but then I had to have a relationship with my husband. I had to, and we had not been together in a good position, like I say, because I was drinking, So I think it would have been great to have a year for a plant, but I had to have a relationship because I was married. And that was hard. It was hard to figure out who I was. And you have to learn to be interdependent, not codependent, but to be interdependent. And that's rough. Especially early on, you got all these freaking emotions and you are looking to all these other people for guidance. You are looking to all these other people and to try to form who you are and who you want to be. But you've got a person that's with you like all the time that, you have to also interact with and learn to do that appropriately. And I think it's really tough in the beginning. So I think it's a great idea if you're not in a relationship to not have one for,
Until, listen,
not a timeline, but
not a timeline.
Right.
There's nothing magical happens on day 366 that you don't fucking, you know what I mean? Like the rule of thumb in my sponsorship, the rule of thumb, except you finish the book for the first time.
That's right.
The rule of thumb in my sponsorship family is when you start your 9th step, you are out there making active amends, you can start dating.
Mm. Guys, I brought Tony into the studio because Tony is a perfect, hey, Tony, welcome to the show. And Tony is a perfect example of finding yourself and then loving yourself and being the true you, whoever you are, and fuck everybody else. And this is who I am. And I'm going to do this. And it doesn't matter what everybody says. And I am just like, just watching him grow through Friends in Recovery is amazing. And just, you know, Tony, tell us a little bit about how you've overcome that and, you know, who you are today and how you built that relationship with not the why, but the I, Tony.
Finding myself, the hardest thing I had to do was learning to love myself. I had so much self-hatred, self-loathing, and just so much anger and resentment to my own self for 40 years. And that just was built on. And it took a lot of therapy. It took me getting sober. And it took these groups. It literally took me, I mean, hell, I didn't come out to the group till almost a year and a half, almost 2 years into my sobriety. And now I'm fully transitioned. I am living the life I can love, and I love myself. And because I've done that and just truly accepted myself and having that relationship with myself of being open and honest, it has led to so much into my life. It's opened up doors I never thought would open. It's allowed me to have a relationship with somebody who I thought I had completely shut off. And to have relationships with my kids. I was so terrified of just transitioning and how that would affect them. And it's been great.
Tony, you talk about fear, and you know it did take you a while to come out just to the group, you know who we love, and anybody's in our group we love and we accept them for whoever they are, and you know that now. But it's hard at the beginning to understand that because of society, because of the way people are, because people are judging, and fear, right? Fear of just being different. Right? Fear of people not accepting you or anybody, right? Fear of just the fear. So did you overcome the fear and that's where you're at today? Or are you still kind of a little bit shy where you work, or I don't know, you know, just if you can explain that.
Fear now, I really have gotten over so much. I had a huge fear of coming out of work and transitioning in on the job because I'm an ER nurse. I work with the sick to the sick. I work with everybody in the most god awful environments, and I deal with a lot of raw human emotion any day in and day out. And I see people at their worst, and I've had nothing but positives lately. I've had great responses from staff. I was always worried about how that was my biggest fear was how would I react when I came across that patient or that family member who lashed out at me because I'm trans or because they just didn't like who I was. And, you know, it's happened and I've blown it off and I've managed because of my recovery. Really attribute a lot of this is to my recovery of putting it out there, putting my faith into my higher power of how I want to live. I'm going to do the best I can do in that situation. And I keep just taking it that one step at a time, one incident at a time. Yeah, there's some days I literally just walk away, go do my 5-10 count, and I'm back at it and doing what I need to do. That's where I had some of my biggest fears. Now I'm really not fearful of anything like I used to be. I mean, used to be fear of just going out the door, the fear of just living my life. And now I don't have that one bit. And just like I do in the 12 steps, I help other people who are going through the same thing I'm doing here. I'm working with support groups. I'm working with other people. I'm working with a huge trans population that are addicts and alcoholics because they play such a huge role because of all that guilt and shame and fear that we've dealt with for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been great being able to show the headway and knowing where they were and I was, and that there is a life afterwards.
So Tony, is it harder? So you got into recovery as the Y, Tony with a Y, right? And is it harder because now you had to do all this? You had to go to Tony with an I, and did you have to start over, or did you wish that somebody was there like you, or for the community now where you didn't have to go through these two different, because I mean these two different times had to be, quitting drinking with a Y, Tony with a Y, and then coming out Tony with an I. It had to be hard. You had to kind of explain two different reasons,
I would never have been able to come out with the I if I didn't stop drinking.
Wow.
I would never have. I would have never have found the courage, the strength, the ability, because I used alcohol to numb every one of those feelings. And that just built off that self-hatred. I mean, getting sober was one of the biggest things I could do for my own self. And that's how I struggled. I mean, I knew I was an alcoholic for years, and I could not put it out there. And because I was afraid, I had guilt and shame of that I'm trans, and I was in a very, very unhealthy relationship with someone that weaponized it and used it to keep me in place, to keep my feelings buried, created a shit ton of resentments. But it took me reaching out, finally hitting my rock bottom, and doing my work in the steps, coming to these meetings. I mean, I have 2 home groups. Friends in Recovery is always going to be my home group. I have one that's also I go to quite regularly. That's for people like me who are trans, and they've helped me tremendously. But it's just, I swear the key for me was getting sober, because that gave me the tools to do what I needed to do. Yeah. So.
How long have you been sober, Tony?
3.5 years. Actually,
that's quite the turnaround, actually.
Almost 3.5 to the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the turnaround. I mean, I know people that sit in these rooms for years and do nothing. And it seems like not only did you get sober, but you found your path, you found your core, you found your God, and you found your life. And from the background of your picture, it looks like you got some plants on one side and you got a dog on the other. You know what I mean? Like, rocking and rolling over here, brother.
It's funny, you got that dog, about 1.5 years ago, Tony?
Yeah,
something like that?
Ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Luke. Luke is his dog.
But yeah,
Where's Luke? I want to see Luke.
Luke's a big dog.
Boy.
Papa. There he is.
Oh my God.
Luke's always on the meetings with us. But you know what? But
Mama, that's what he loves.
And you know what? Like, there is a perfect example right there. Luke jumping up on Tony. It doesn't matter what he wears, what she wears. Tony knows that what she wears doesn't matter, whatever. That dog is and human beings should be fucking
love.
like that, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
why are people so fucked up? I just don't understand it. You know what? Why does my opinion count so much to somebody else when somebody wants to do something? You know what? I don't really care. Do your thing. Just do your thing. I mean, I care, but I'm not going to put somebody down, but I just don't get it. Right. And that's another whole podcast, I think, Beth, that we could talk about is, political recovery or whatever, but see what you brought up, Tony? But no, that's what I don't understand. Just be a happy person, right? Be a happy human being, whatever that looks like. And just let everybody else be happy. What's my opinion to anybody? Who am I? Right?
Yep.
Who am I? I mean, I could say, Tony, you look ridiculous, or Tony, you look beautiful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right?
It does not matter.
Yeah. But when society tells us this is who you should be, how you should be, and why you should be, that's where we get out of the relationship with ourselves, because we think there's something wrong with us. We think we're not good enough. We think we're not the right person. We think differently when we shouldn't be thinking differently. And that's why I said, Tony, the two, you got into recovery as the why, and then you took on this role as the I, almost a year and a half, almost 2 years later that I've seen everything. And that's hard. I mean, just let people be who. And Beth, there's people you've been around for a long time. You said that probably will never even come out in the rooms to be who they really want to be.
That makes me sick to my stomach.
I know. I agree.
And I have to tell you, I am the first one that's going to turn around in a meeting and tell people to just shut the fuck up.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You want to take this is not a moral program. And my sponsor has beat that into my head for a very long time. This is not a moral program. That's why it works for everybody.
Yeah.
It is a program that will help you find your morals.
Yeah.
But those are yours. And I do the same thing to people like when SSRIs came on the scene in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
There was a huge opinion in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm so, so grateful that I was working in the recovery field at the time, because I would just anybody would share their opinion that people should or should not be on medication, and the topic would just go around the meeting. I'd raise my hand and I'd be like, are any of you motherfuckers psychiatrists? Because if you're not, you don't have an opinion on this topic.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I would shut people down.
Yeah, and it says in our opening that we come together to solve one common problem. And that is it. That's all it says. It doesn't say man, woman. It doesn't say anything. It says we all come together to solve one common problem. And we're not there to talk about politics. We're not there to talk about, the earth, getting hot or getting cold. We're there to solve our alcohol problem and our drug addiction. That's it. And people forget about that in the rooms. People forget about that in life, and not just, I don't know. We could go on and on and on about this topic. And Tony, thank you for coming in here and sharing your experience, strength, and hope, and kind of, hopefully shedding a light on everything and everybody to just kind of see it a little different light. Now, you don't have to understand. You don't have to be okay with it, but I believe you have to just be whatever that is. Just be, right? And that's it. Just be okay with whatever it is. And then you move on in life, does anybody have anything they want to add? Because this was a good show. And again, we can go on and on in 20 different directions. And I'm glad, Tony, you did come on here, because our other choice to talk about was relationships and masturbation. And Dan was going to head that up, but we avoided that.
Have a good topic.
You fucked it all up, Tony.
Yeah. We'd still be going.
That's right. Exactly. So, but does anybody want to add anything to that about, kind of what we were just...
Yeah, I just want to say that just knowing Tony for the 2 years that I've known him, I mean, Tony is just Tony, Tony's Tony. And I've called Tony all hours of the night when I was stressed, and he's just there always. You know, Tony is Tony. She's just there. I did the same thing, Ed, but you know, he just loves us for us. He knows the stuff.
He does.
You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong, but Tony has always been there for me, and that's how I think of Tony.
There's a relationship right there.
Yeah, just a supportive. I mean, like literally, I've slept at night because I've had conversations with Tony that I would not have. I would have been dwelling on stuff. So
yeah, and that's a great fact that you just brought up. You know, Tony changed his appearance and his name and all that, but nothing inside changed. The caring, the loving, the person who'll go out on a limb for anybody. That didn't change. Like, you know, so what? So what our outsides look like? It matters what's on the inside, right? That's what, I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. And guys, our opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
They all stink.
And they all stink, and it depends on what side they come out of. And, you know, but anyways, Beth, Dan, anything in closing here?
Thank you, Tony, for coming on and sharing your story. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And
thanks for being there. It wasn't for Friends in Recovery. I sober. That's the only reason I got sober.
He did get sober in Friends in Recovery meetings. He really did. I mean, you're the true Zoom baby. Let's be serious. You know, you're definitely a Zoom baby. So, but guys, so Tony, thank you for coming on, being vulnerable, opening up to, you know, everybody's eyes to a different opinion. Guys, if you don't like his opinion, that's okay. If you do like it, and that's okay. We're here to promote recovery and whatever recovery looks like to each and every one of us. And that's how it should be. That's how it is here on our show. And if you don't like it, you know what? There's 1,000 other fucking podcasts. Go listen to them. And that's all I can tell you. So Stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.